Hey everybody! Today I'm going to tell you about some little things that you can bring on your next bike adventure that might make a big difference. Okay, so the first thing is, and I know I've mentioned this before, but a valve core tool and a valve extender. Even if you don't need an extender for your wheels, please just stick this in your saddlebag and this tool, and make sure it's metal, not plastic, because the plastic ones of these tools can wear out. Stick them in there because someone might need them. And actually in France on a ride, I was with a group, and sure enough, someone got a flat tire. They didn't have the right size stem, and I came to the rescue. So you can be the one to come to someone's rescue. Next thing, if you're traveling, make sure you have a hanger. Okay, because these are very bike specific, and even if you're traveling to a biking mecca with lots of bike shops, there is never any guarantee they're going to have the right hanger for your bike. Next, depending on what cleat system you use, I recommend bringing a spare pair of cleats, specifically if you have the plastic ones. Brake pads. These are really hard to get now, especially with disc brake, but even rim brake, I recommend bringing a spare set. So the reason I have only one right now and not two is because on my last trip I actually did go through my rear brake pads completely. So luckily I had the spares, and it was a very easy process to stick these in and keep riding. I recommend bringing tweezers. These are useful not that often, but every so often you might need them. And on my last trip, sure enough, someone had a tiny wire stuck in their tire that we really couldn't get out with our fingers, so tweezers to the rescue. I recommend bringing a chain. These are getting easier to find at bike shops, but you never know, so it's useful to have an extra one. I recommend spare batteries, the 2032s, and then if you have a power meter, I have these batteries. These would be really hard to find if I was traveling. The 2032s you can probably get, but any special batteries, make sure you have extras of those. I recommend bringing scissors. Scissors are useful for everything. I use them on almost every trip. And one thing I use them for, and this is another thing you should bring, is paper, because if I'm racing, I often write down the key points that I want to remember, stick that on my bike. I use the scissors to cut it. And then that brings me to my next item, is you want to bring some tape. Usually I bring electrical tape. You might want to bring packing tape if you think it's going to be rainy, wet weather, and you do want to do like a race recon sheet on your bike. You can cover it with a packing tape, and that might protect it from the rain. And then pen, and I like to bring a Sharpie. This is also for writing down your notes for your race. And I like the Sharpie with the thick end, and the thin end is very useful. Another option, a third kind of tape. This is kind of overkill. Usually I just travel with the electrical tape, but recently I did a race, and the day before that race, this was actually Asheville, the one I recently won, my BOA on my shoe completely broke, so I actually didn't really have a working shoe for that race. So Gorilla Tape to the rescue. I bought this at a hardware store. I just wrapped my shoe in tape and didn't feel a difference. It was like a brand new shoe. Okay, next item, zip ties. I like to bring a couple zip ties, all different shapes, sizes, lengths. Same with safety pins. I bring a bag of safety pins to every race because they usually supply you with safety pins to pin on your numbers, but I like to have extras. And the next item I highly recommend traveling with, and just like the valve core tool and valve extender, this is something your friends might end up borrowing and using from you. It is a bag of plastic bags, and I have all different sorts of bags in there. I have just like grocery bags. This is great for dirty laundry. I have sandwich bags that are lightweight. I like that for snacks in your pocket. Like if you're staying at a hotel, you can grab some extra rolls at breakfast and just stick them in here and use them for your ride snacks. I have heavier duty freezer bags. This is good for phones or really important things in your back pocket. I have gallon size bags. I really have a little bit of everything, and I have found a use for them on almost every trip I do. Another one that you might really be glad to have is a set of plastic utensils. If you're traveling around and you like go to the grocery store for a yogurt or something for your breakfast on race day and they don't have a spoon there, you're kind of out of luck. You have to drink your yogurt. So this has been very useful for me to have a fork, knife, spoon. And then salt. I actually always travel with salt now because I sweat a lot on the bike. I sweat the salt out, and I'm finding that I constantly crave salt on my food. Sometimes I put it in my water bottles. This prevents me from having to ask people for salt all the time at like restaurants or something, or if I get food at a grocery store, here's my salt to flavor it. Extra contacts. I highly recommend packing at least a week extra of contacts. You never know when you're going to need more. I have definitely extended several trips another week and been very glad that I have my eyesight for that extra week, or something happens and I have to wear 2 or 3 pairs during a day if it's like muddy and I'm switching my contacts out. So always have extras. Next, I highly recommend a little scrubby brush and a net for your laundry. This is great if you don't have access to a washing machine. I do a lot of hotel sink laundry. I just use a soap and scrub my jerseys out. If you're riding and it's a muddy day, even if you do have access to a washing machine, sometimes it's nice to do a first scrubby rinse with this to get the mud out. And the reason I recommend this is if you're traveling with a group or friends and you all do your laundry together, this will, 1, protect your laundry if they happen to put like something with Velcro in there, and 2, it keeps it separate. So if you're in a group and everyone has like the same jerseys or kits, you know which is yours. Next, I highly recommend having just a collapsible shopping bag. These are useful for so many things, and if you go grocery shopping, you already have it. And then these are some things that you can do to make your trip a little more smooth. I recommend making a travel photo album. So just in your photos, make an album with like a photo of your passport, your ID. If you have travel health insurance, take a picture of that documentation. Like any documents that you might be referring to, your COVID vaccination card, all of that stuff is great to have in an easy access album. Then, I know a lot of you in your phones, you just extend the service to whatever country you're going to. I did not do that. I didn't really have that option with the cell service I currently have. So I went with an eSIM, and this was something new. I had never heard of it. It was super easy, and if you look this up, Airalo, that is a good app. It's very user-friendly. It's super cheap too. And I was able to get data access. Now I couldn't drag my phone number over to France in my latest travels, but that was okay. All I really wanted was the data so I could do WhatsApp and I could have maps and stay in contact with people that way. So look into this on your next trip. It's a little more convenient than the actual SIM card. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Hopefully you got some tips that you can use on your next adventure. Thank you.